Happy Halloween, everybody. Halloween music there.
I know we can't do the show on Thursday because it's Halloween.
It's going to rain anyway.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
My costume, I don't think, is water resistant, so I don't know.
I can't do the show on Thursday because I have to come up here to the studio. I can't have these lights on because I turn all the lights off and find one room at the back of the house where I can go watch what's Thursday? So football. So I can't do it then. Bah humbug or whatever they call it. So that's me. That is Halloween, and it is supposed to rain, unfortunately, but that's okay. You can still enjoy the day. You can still enjoy the day. You guys tell us what you're going to dress up as for Halloween, and we'll post your comments there as we're going throughout the day. Welcome everybody. How's it going over there, BC?
You know, we've done a Halloween show before.
We did.
We did a Halloween show. Remember, I dressed up like Ricky Bobby. I had my Ricky Bobby outfit on that night.
Man, I can't remember last week. I don't even remember what we did last week. I think I do recall that. What did I wear? Is that the day I wore the racing suit?
Mm-hmm, I think so. You wore your racing suit, and I wore my Ricky Bobby suit.
Sweated my nuts off that day. That was stupid. And that was, I think at that time, for whatever reason, all that I had that still fit, because I had been out for a little bit, all that I had that fit was like a 2-layer.
Boy, yeah, that's right, because you were hot as hell wearing that thing.
Oh my God, that was stupid. Never do that again. I will absolutely never do that again. But yeah, friends, tell us your Halloween outfits and what your Halloween plans are, because you can drop it in the chat wherever you're checking in at. I think the only place that you can't do it is Twitter, but on Twitter you can go, which is the Racing America feed. But if you're on Twitter, you can like put in there, you know, so you can definitely do that as well. Hey, we've got a lot to talk about coming up at 6:45. About what's that? About 12 minutes out. We'll have our man Monty Chamberlain from Texana Raceway Park. We'll have a great conversation with him, and then Zach Freeman, now the EMOD champion at Corpus after just an amazing race. And yeah, hell, he doubled up this year. What a year for that dude. Trevor Cogburn, Little Nasty, the winner over at Heart of Texas Speedway in the Fall Classic. Then the Southern Sport Mods, and then Ray Doyon will join us as well, because I-37 has, they got a big event coming up. The DTK is coming up this weekend, but then they've got another one that's coming up after that. So there's a lot to do tonight, and World Series night, just a great time of year. It's just a really good time of year, don't you think? Because we've got all the short track racing that's really good with these big shows. And then World Series, college football, National Football League. I mean, it's just a good time. Hell, Formula One, nobody can stop Ferrari. It's just a really good time to consume sports right now. Not that there's ever really a bad time.
Well, October is still bittersweet for us racing people, because you realize there's just a few race weekends left, not only for local stuff, but your national series. I mean, Formula One goes pretty much all the way into December. For their championship, but NASCAR's wrapped up, going to be wrapped up here in just amazing, just 2 races to go. And it feels like we just started yesterday.
It flew. And what's weird about that is, remember they had the break in there too. I mean, you had the time, the
Olympic break. Yeah.
Olympic break. Yeah. So you had that in there. So yeah, it really has. I mean, this whole year has just flown by way too fast, but I'm ready to get it over with, to be honest with you.
Well, before you know it, December will be here and you have to buy Kendall a new car for graduation.
That ain't happening. She'll be employed by then, so she can do what the other one did. She can figure out a way to do it. That's why we've taken really, really good care of her machine. Our man Gilbert Simmental over at it's a real funny story. Gilbert told me with his car and with the car that Chloe had, because when he was the one that was taking care of those things for us. And he's like, with Kendall's car, he's like, okay, this one's got some pretty good juice to it. It's a Lexus SUV 2005, whatever that.
Same one?
Yeah, that 330.
The one I had to teach her how to drive in that time?
Same one. Simmental's like, let me tell you, this one's going to last. He said, when you bring it in, he said, I can keep making it work until you tell me to kill it, and then I'll do that. I'm like, it's going to live a while. It's going to live a while. So, yeah, so we'll see how that goes. Mr. Lindsay checking in, tremendous job the other night there, winning in the micro mods. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool to see right there. That dude has a following. He had a lot of excited people on the racetrack with him at Victory Lane. Bobby, I showed you this before the before the program here, right before we dove on, I'll pull this up right here before we get to our first guest coming up here momentarily. It's going to be Monty. So this is something, you know, that we talk about all the time, where folks just kind of need to know how to behave. This was released from Hoosier at some point today. At Hoosier Racing Tire, we believe in doing our part to ensure a shared love of motorsports sparks passion, pride, and success. Blah, blah, blah. It goes on and on to say, while we recognize the deep commitment racers have for their craft, we condemn any use of verbal or physical aggression within our sport towards our employees or others. We're committed to partnering with racers globally to remedy concerns, issues, or questions related to the Hoosier Racing Tire family and openly accept feedback. And, you know, it goes on to say that if it pertains to the Hoosier products or whatever, and it gives info at HoosierTire.com, you know, that they encourage respectful conversations and so forth. I can only venture to guess, because this would have to be, you know, because you've had the tire stuff that's been going on the last couple of years with the going to the S1 and the S2s and all that. I'm assuming some people have been pushing the envelope just a little bit, maybe went a little bit too far. And Hoosier's, this is Hoosier's way of saying, get your shit together.
I mean, basically, it sounds like something went haywire. We don't know exactly what went haywire. I'm sure there's other people in the know that know, but clearly something didn't work out right the way they had planned it to be. So I think that I mean, you don't just release PR statements for nothing. You gotta, you know, that little graphic got created for some reason.
Yeah. And that's where I think it's been really hard for them, because you had, during the pandemic time and so forth, you had, I mean, obviously there was a tire shortage, you know, whatever, you know, was causing that. And I never doubted that. I don't know why. I think there was a little bit of inside the industry thoughts that maybe that was something that wasn't totally legit. And I'm like, well, why would they not produce tires when they know that they're going to go to an event and people are going to buy them in mass droves? I mean, that makes no sense. But it's been a tough spot for them, and then, you know, kind of going the back and forth. So I'm assuming that some folks just got a little bit out off their skis, as they say, and did things they're not supposed to be doing.
Well, I mean, I think that, you know, the pandemic tires was not the only thing that was there in deep shortage during the pandemic. I think it had to do more with staffing than supplies.
Yeah.
But hang on. All that running outside trying to get that blow up before it blew away. But that you know, that whole tire deal, like, that was the year we went to the Derby, and there was supposed to be that big tire shortage, but yet it really wasn't. At the end of the day, of course, the Derby's the Derby. As many tires as you're going to sell at the Derby, you know, that's one race you didn't want to run out of. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, that's a lot of what the Derby is. I mean, that's where whoever's operating that, they're going to be. I mean, that's a lot of tires. I'd love to know what the actual tire number is that gets sold in that, because it is. I mean, you think about that. I mean, every time those cars touch a track, it seems like they're putting on maybe not another set, but at least two. So I don't know. And I think where this really got complicated was, number one, right before I think all of this started, is when American Racer got really, really competitive, you know, with their work. I mean, American Racer started doing really good stuff. And I think American Racer, to be honest with you, I think American Racer actually caused a little bit of the whole concern with some of the Hoosier, the quality of the Hoosier tire, because of what American Racer was doing, because those gradually, I mean, and I saw data on this, I mean, side by side, to where the AR, just the heat cycles, the more heat cycles you put in those tires, the better they got. And you didn't so much pick up speed, but you didn't lose speed. And I think that's where it came back to Hoosier. And it's been tough for them, but Hoosier controls this market. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, they're the predominant tire everywhere that you go. You do see American Racers in pockets, but it's definitely not the blanket coverage like you see with Hoosier. Remember back in the early 2010s down in Houston, when they ran those revolutionary Goodyear weekly racing series tires. I mean, that set the world on fire, because they were running Goodyear. They were one of the few tracks in the country running the Goodyear weekly racing tires. So I mean, we've seen pockets of it where tires where Hoosier has not been the dominant player. But I mean, now, I mean, everywhere you go, other than a few pockets, you have pretty much nothing but Hoosiers. So
yeah, we ran. I think it was probably back early 2000s, maybe 05. No. Probably even earlier than that. We ran good years at Thunder Hill, and those were, it was a groove tire. That's probably what Houston was, and it was a good tire. I mean, it really was a good tire. But it for us, it always seemed like the Hoosier really was the better tire. And I remember when we ran the Hoosier slicks and those things. I mean, we ran Hoosier slicks the first year that Kyle opened, and they had to change them because you remember all the gravel in there, as bad as it was when it first opened. I mean,
kept blowing tires.
Yeah, you would drive through the pits and you were flat by the time you got out to the track. So anyway, I don't know what's going to happen there. And tires is something that we're going to be watching, I think, as we gradually get closer to next season. Sean Paul, the AR sucked 20 years ago. Yeah, they are extremely good. I mean, they are extremely good. And full disclosure, at one point I did worked with a Hoosier or with an AR track, and that's actually how I was able to see the data. And at that point it was better. But Hoosier does control the market. So the bottom line with all this is, guys, don't take it to the extreme. I mean, come on. This is a sport, and it's a big money sport, but you need to behave. You need to behave.
That's right. Don't pull a Bowman Gray. You got to behave.
Yeah. No doubt about that. I mean, it's one of those things to where, I mean, we're here to do what we love. And yeah, it's going to get expensive, but if, like it says right there, if you have a concern with Hoosier, info@HoosierTire.com. Everybody knows that racers love to get on the keyboard and do it that way. Don't threaten people or do any of that stuff. Before Monty jumps on, we got to give a big congratulations. A great friend of the show. He's been on here multiple times. Really cool to see this past weekend over in North Carolina at Orange County. The Orange Blossom Shootout goes to our man Jared Fryer. Look at that. Dog it. Love it when that dude wins.
Yeah, and he's so consistent, and he's so smooth, just like his grandpa. Well, just able to come in and he's not the ass kicker that his grandpa was. He's very deliberate in the way that he races. Where Freddie be up front, and he'd dog you up front, he'd stay up front. But yet Jared, no matter where he qualifies, sometimes he qualifies fairly well. He's talked to us about needing to up his qualifying a little bit more, but definitely he's just so smooth about it. He's one of those guys that races it out and just has very rarely do you see him tear up equipment, because he's a budget guy. He doesn't have the money to come in and continuously come through and redo noses and fenders and all kind of stuff. So I think that definitely shows with the way that he races.
Jared does a really good job with it, and the times that he doesn't qualify well. I mean, even working through traffic. I mean, racing with cars tours there with late model stocks in North Carolina, you have to be extremely careful and if at all possible, and take care of your stuff. And he does that. I mean, I saw a race, the one we were talking about the other day, where I watched that, and I never really saw Jared anywhere in contention. And then the thing pulled up, and he was the one that was right there hot on the bumper of the guy that won, that had led most of that thing. So big win there for Jared, and I'm sure that they will. I'm sure they're not done. Remember, I think the last time when he was on, he's like, I'm not sure. You start winning races like that, and that kind of, for one, it helps the budget. And I think number two, it kind of increases that taste a little bit to get back out on the track.
Yeah, winning solves a lot of problems. Creates a few problems, but winning solves a lot of problems.
Yes, sir. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's hit the, I always want to say hotline, but when we're not doing the phone, I guess we'll just call it the guest line. I guess we'll just say joining the show, presented by On Demand Shirts. It is, we're going over to Edna. I'm glad I met you. I don't know if y'all remember that commercial. Monty probably does. Monty probably remembers the commercial. Bobby doesn't. He's too young. But it is our man doing lots of stuff over at Texana Raceway Park, Monty Chamberlain. Monty, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
Doing good, my friend. Doing really, really good. What's cracking over there, man? What you by the way, happy anniversary. We had anniversary week, you and I. So
36 last week for me.
Oh, hell, I thought we had accomplished something with 18. That's nothing. That is nothing. First question from me, Monty, is now. So in the build up to get that the crew was working in to get that last race done. It doesn't seem like there's been any pause or anything. It sounds like you guys have had a lot of wheels in motion even before that last event, looking towards 2025.
Yes, sir. The first idea was that Cord was going to be able to lease the track to someone else to run. That was the dream. And we got very, very close. I said we got that close, like 2 days before that last event, that we hoped we were going to have an announcement. So there was a plan B, and the plan B is what we're headed into for 2025, where he will get things ready, get things in place, keep up the physical structure, the facility. I'm going to help him in the background. I want to be real clear. I'm not the track promoter. That's not me. I don't have a job, but I care about my friend. I care about the racetrack. Okay.
I know that. I know that feeling, by the way, Monty. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm in the background helping him. And yes, as a matter of fact, we didn't take a pause. We had been talking about this. If it went to plan B, we wanted to be on top of our game. We wanted to get a shell schedule out. I think too many times folks are between two things in an off season, folks are asking about where are rules, what's your schedule going to be? So that was our first goal. And to tell you about the truth on the schedule, I talked to Cord and I felt it was extremely important to reach. I really do feel this extremely important to reach out to Marianne, to Ray and Michael and Owen and present what we proposed. And to see if they, what I was looking for is did it have anything that was just a showstopper for them, or that gave them great heartburn because they have something annual. And Marianne gave me some feedback. Now that feedback she gave me was super helpful. It was about something coming up in the spring. And then I think Ray gave me some feedback. So we tried to avoid their opening night, and we did. So we just kind of did that, and then the rest of it just flowed. So we do have a schedule. We know the rules for 3 of the classes, and we're going to land on something for factory stock. That's a big, we want to do the right thing, the best thing, to be quite honest, for the track to draw cars, and the best thing for the drivers so that they can compete in various locations. But the verdict's out on that one. So we're busy, but and revamping the website. The website that Texana had was dormant for about 2 years. It was being paid for. It just didn't have any updates, and it's in existence. But we have purchased a new. It's going to be a new domain, and is the work's going on behind the scene for that, and it'll be launched before too terribly long. We'll make a big announcement about that.
It's awesome.
See, luckily, I have conversations with Mr. Chamberlain in text messages, so I knew some of the stuff that was happening. Not all of it, but I did know some of it. But the best thing that I noticed on the schedule there, Monty, is that I guess I don't know if I could say we, Texana, the racetrack, is getting sponsors. And I think that's a big deal for having, companies that are coming to you guys with a little bit of advice and saying, hey, look, we want to be part of this deal. And that, you've got some new sponsors for the go-karts, and Caney's Welding stepped up to do the E-mods again. So, I mean, it's like, the ecosystem over there is tiny at some point, but yet at the same time, it looks like it's trying to expand over there.
Yes, and Bobby, a lot of that is just outreach, making some connections and so forth. It takes a little sweat equity to get things done. I want to back up just a second. There was the first thing I should have led out with when you asked me a question, Rodney, was the most exciting piece of information about 2025 is Bobby's coming back as the announcer.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
That's important.
I guess it's official now, huh?
Yeah, well, yeah, we said it. But hey, you had posted that. But I will tell you real quick on those sponsors. Just want to restate, because they're so critical. What Bobby mentioned is we do have Penny Heavy Hauling LLC. They're out of Danbury in Brazoria County. Quick little side note on that. Coincidentally, that's Joseph and Danielle Penny, along with some partners that own that company. And when we talk about heavy hauling, these are they haul huge pieces in the Houston corridor and outside. But coincidentally, I had known Danielle's dad for about 35 years now, Mike Davenport, who used to race with us as well. But they owned They were a family operation. So Danielle is a third generation company owner in the heavy haul industry. And her dad's company, which was Davenport, and then it turned into Davenport Mammut. At the time that I was with TxDOT, and I worked in that arena, they hauled the heaviest load in the state ever, which was 1.3 million pounds
Wow.
down Point Comfort. It was where Formosa exists now. But also, as Bobby mentioned, we have Caney's Weldon coming back. He's a good buddy of the track and a friend. Been a partner for years in different things, and he'll be back. He's carrying the title sponsorship, his name for E-Mods, and a new one on board. They took over that crappy Monty Chamberlain Motorsports name for the factory stocks. But seriously, I was glad they did. I was happy to have someone else step in this year. But it's A1 Used Cars Incorporated out of Victoria. And we got to thank Summer Nave for making that connection for us. That's synergy
Yeah.
in action with these connections and getting people interested. And they get a nice little perk. They get their company advertised all year long. Bobby mentions them several times in the night. They get on all the marketing we do. They also get a night in the suite, that's another little perk to sit side by side with Bobby, wall to wall. And then I will put this out there. We're still looking for, and I haven't really marketed this yet, but we will. We're looking for a limited modified title sponsor and the Hobby Stocks title sponsor. So we'll put that out there heavier in the weeks to come, but we'll be looking for that sponsor as well.
Absolutely, man. That is really good stuff. And the other thing, and good job, Summer. Good job, Blondie. Good job on getting that done. One of the things, I mean, looking at and again, I know that things are subject to change, and maybe adding is always usually what people are hoping for. But seeing the Southern United Sprint Series on there, and seeing dirt trucks, and seeing all of that, I really like that. I think you guys are going to have just a great expansion to an already very solid regular class of cars that you have each time out there.
Yes, sir. Speaking of the trucks, I had reached out to George, who is one of the new owners of that series, and talked to him about making one date for now to see how the series takes back off. I know they were getting low on truck count. So instead of making false commitments to them, we wanted to make one commitment, and then we'll see how it goes. And if it's growing, look at others. You're right about the Southern United Sprints. We worked with Teresa and Randy and have those down for 2 solid dates. We are chomping at the bit to get dates for stems and for the dwarf cars. We have had several dialogues with them, and I actually think those guys are tired of my text messages probably, but they absolutely are great when they come. And it's because of this. They put on a good show. That's first and foremost. And they bring cars and people with the cars. That's a good business decision. You can't beat it. They're both awesome series, and we're anxious to get them on the card and wherever they want to fit in. And hopefully 3 nights each for each of them at a minimum.
Love it.
Sorry, I was muted because the dog was barking. I think people just don't understand the amount of infrastructure change that Cord has put into that place. If Texana, if you hadn't been to Texana in a couple of years, it's almost like you won't recognize the place with the new grandstands, the new bathrooms, the new tower. I mean, it just seems like, I think Cord, everybody knows Cord's commitment, but if you can't see it with the amount of money and time that he is spending revamping that place, I mean, you just don't know, right? I mean, it's a total. I mean, every time I show up every year, it's like a brand new racetrack.
Yes, he has poured a lot of investment in that place. Probably a lot more than he ever paid for the whole thing. A lot, I think I talked to you guys back in the spring just before we got started, but he's got a tremendous amount of new LED lighting through the parking area. He had updated the PA system, which wasn't horribly old, but it was, at least 10, 12, 13 years old. But he updated that. He put an entirely new fence and cables up in the front straight before this year. Several other things. And then I move on to what happened this summer was a surprise, a curveball. And it was real. It was a real deal. We're in rice country. We're called the Rice Belt in Edna. Edna to Wharton, all through Bay City, all of that area. So a rice farmer is directly behind, kind of if you think about looking at the track from the grandstand side, if you look off to turn 1 and 2, that rice farm is over there. Well, his levee did breach and it started flooding into the ditch, and that's their livelihood. I mean, that's their bread and butter. So they had to keep pouring the water to it. And then when they did keep pouring the water to it, the ditch cannot handle it, the drainage. And it would come off into the Texana property, which was already wet from our, you wouldn't believe it right now, as dry as it is, but back in the summer, in July, it was wet, very saturated already. So it wouldn't drain off, going to the side of the Texana property between the Burcombe and Texana. And that cord went out there and did elevation measurements. And the water is trying to push uphill to get to the county roads. So he reached a deal with the homeowners all the way back to 111, the property owners, and he did all of the work for everyone. He brought 2 drag lines out there, or track hose, I guess you'd call them, and dozer and everything, and they redirected the drainage to stay behind the property and then go all the way down to 111, which is moving downhill, and that's going to pay huge dividends. Cord had told me a couple of weeks ago he can't wait for it to really just come a huge storm and see how that thing works.
Yeah, maybe this week. Maybe this
Yes.
week we'll get enough in there. Monty, the one thing that I wanted to touch on with you, you mentioned with the factory stocks and trying to figure out that. I mean, because that's there are different variations of it. I mean, it is the factory stock, but depending where you are, and then the limited modifieds, that one already done. I really think that with the core of those 2 divisions of what we'll call weekly racers, and I'll make a statement, then get your thoughts. The fact that you guys are working hand in hand with the other tracks, or at least, communicating with them, I think that that's something that's really going to encourage those 2 divisions to really grow at Texana, in my opinion.
Yes, I'll actually touch on one other as well for on that subject, Rodney. But limited modifieds, we had to make a decision first for them because we weren't drawing the cars. Now we're in a very challenging location physically, but we weren't pulling limiteds all year, and they cost a good bit nowadays to run them. I'm just being real blunt and honest. That's not a cheap class. So we for the last 2 races blended USRA rules with IMCA rules on the limiteds, and talking to car owners, the guys who compete in it, there's these trade-offs. So you have to be a little heavier, is what my understanding is, in USRA, a little lighter in IMCA. You have to be heavier in USRA if you run a certain, I think the quick change, for example, possibly. But anyway, so it seemed like to be a good blend. So hopefully that's where we're going next year. Hopefully that'll pay dividends. One you didn't touch on that I want to touch on is the E-mods. That's an incredibly, class has been growing. As a regular class, Texana has them in Race Ranch, and it does turn out in that class, unique to almost any other class, there's quite a few cars that go to both tracks. That is not something common with our other classes. Not really. That doesn't mean that no one does it, but the travelers are in the E-mods. That's what I'm seeing. Then we have hobby stocks, and that's kind of matched up with 105 because that seemed at the time to be, when that was done, the better business alignment to try to, and those guys will travel periodically. Houston guys will travel and always have. And then up to the factory stocks. That's the toughie because we have got to, 4 years ago, there was 30 to 35 factory stocks at Texana on a night. Nothing changed with the rules other than just, they stayed on slicks, all these other things people talk about. And frankly, you go back to the where it all started in the Arklatex. I raced a factory stock. The slicks were the big seller for the whole class. We got rid of our tire bill. But as things do, they always change. With rules always change, and it's just how it goes. So for us, we've got to make a big decision. What is best overall? Now, if you notch it up a bit, some people would view it as notching it up. That doesn't mean, let's say I don't know what will happen, but if Race Ranch stayed with Race Ranch rules and Texana needed to grab more people from the east. Okay, and if we went to USRA rules, does that mean if you are up to par with race ranch rules you can't run? No, that's actually, with that you can pretty much get in anywhere. With USRA rules you might be limited, right, going certain places, but depending on how much of that you use, you might just go with slicks and
Yeah.
keep you a set of slicks. So there's variables. That's the tough one, but that'll be up to others to decide what's the best decision on that. And it's an important class. It has had a good high car count, but again, just being real blunt and brutally honest, I'll put myself in this category. I traveled one time this year, and it was to Pleasanton's opener. Traveling isn't happening a lot. We
I
do
know.
not, we want people, I want people to be loyal to the track they're close to. That's what keeps it in business. So the Cotton Bowl folks, they pretty much go there. The Pleasanton folks pretty much go there. Now, we get a onesie or a twosie, right? And Race Ranch folks go there. But I put myself in that category. I ain't interested in traveling much anymore. I can't even stay awake to get home, barely from Texana anymore. So that's our toughie, is where are we going to be able to pull cars? Because 20 years ago, there were plenty of guys owning cars, Edna, Victoria. That ain't the case now.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt.
So, Monty, we've talked to Court about the acceptance of Edna with the racetrack. Can you expand on that a little bit? Like we know that the Jackson County gets involved. Edna sends the police department down there to help out with some of the security and safety and stuff like that. But talk about the overall feeling of like the region. You just mentioned that some of the racers, there's not as many racers as there once was in Edna and Victoria and all of that. But how does Victoria factor into the bigger picture of Texana? Is it too far away? Is it just close enough? I mean, we know the proper of Edna, which is not all that big, supports the racetrack, but how does Victoria fit in there?
I think so. Victoria definitely supports, and a lot of our fans come right out of Victoria, Port Lavaca. They have a lot of folks who work for the various plants in that region. But Victoria is a big supporter. El Campo, we draw a few people from El Campo, and definitely Port Lavaca. It's all kind of this thing about what's your, as a person, what is your interest in at this stage in your life? Are you interested in racing? Well, that's just each individual situation, but definitely Victoria is a draw for us. And we have a good number of car owners, teams from Victoria, Port Lavaca, as I said, even up to Cuero. And as you stated, Edna, that's the hometown group. They all are very supportive. But as a business that makes noise, you have to be cognizant of what you're doing.
Yep.
And you have to be aware of your customer base, but even those who are not coming to the racetrack, you need to be cognizant of that with the noise matter. And there's this thing called urban sprawl, right? You guys are probably familiar with that. That's going to happen, and you have to be cognizant of that. I don't care if the track's been there 50 years. People outweigh what we're a small group of interest racers and race fans and all of that. So you have to adjust with times. And when that hits the fan, there'll have to be adjustments. It's the way it goes.
Yeah, that's that's a big killer of racetracks right there. And we hear it all the time to where it's like, well, the track was here first. It's like that doesn't matter. I mean, and especially Monty, and I think that Edna is probably already feeling this. I mean, I've been out there. I mean, it's that footprint grows. I mean, one of the things I love about Texana is that it is kind of out on the outskirts of town. But the town's kind of moving that way, and you can't, and toward and from the other direction. So that gets really, really hard. Monty, for folks, you mentioned some of the other divisions right there, or that maybe just want to financially somehow be a part of what's coming up in 2025, and I'll pull that schedule up again. Best way for them to do that, because we want to try to help push as much to you as possible, or to Texana as possible, because that's your small town racetrack, and that's the way it used to be.
Yeah. So on that note, we'd love for them to message the Texana page on Facebook. That's our venue, our easiest way to communicate right now. Just send a direct message if they'd like to get engaged somehow. Being a title sponsor for a class is not the only thing. There would be various opportunities. Let's say they'd like to rent the suite for one night that a title sponsor doesn't have it, or they'd like to have their company have a night at the races. That would be marketed as a one-off, which would be a lot less expensive than a seasonal sponsorship of a class. But any ideas? We're pretty much open to anything to talk about. We're not closing the door on any pitch, especially when it involves supporting the track, through sponsorships of various sorts. People will have ideas that we haven't thought of, but messaging the Texana Facebook page would be the very easiest right now. And eventually, once the website is relaunched, there will be an email address on there as well. But Messenger is fast. You get an alert, and we're usually pretty quick to respond.
Excellent. Excellent.
Well, I, for one, am looking forward to the 2025 schedule. It's a lot of dates. It's a lot of commitment, but I love that little racetrack down there. I've made some good friends. A lot of them got introduced to by you, Monty. So still learning the racers even after all these years, but it's a fun little racetrack. Hopefully that when we get a chance to get the streaming stuff worked out, the people will get a chance that hadn't seen it or heard about it before until now will get a chance to watch some of the races on there on a big national scale and see what the Texana Raceway Park is all about. So hopefully we get to get some more good news coming up for 2025.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. And Race On is an awesome venue. There's folks who can't make it to the track. There's folks who live far off and like to view what's happening here, so they would never come to the track. So Race On is an awesome venue. It's a good tool for the track to market the product, and a good tool for, be quite honest, for revenue generation, because they don't just come in and film for free. There's a piece of the pie in it for a track, and you want that there. I did want to mention one other thing before we get too far off is I was watching a lot of videos from a track up in Massachusetts, a quarter-mile asphalt. Bobby, it reminded me of Longhorn from the appearance of it. But these guys that track have spectator racers that come out in the masses. They do one-on-one, elimination. Well, we're bringing back spectator races this year. What night is that? You have the schedule, but let me see if I can zone in on it here.
Yeah, sorry about that. I pulled it down. I'll pull it up here. Tell me if you can see it. I know my interface here.
Okay, but yeah, I'll look it up too.
May the 10th.
The 10th. Okay, so May 10th. Anyways, that's going to be a one-on-one elimination process, and then we're going to go down to the final four, and it'll get exciting. These are street cars. People have to be 21, or I think it's 18 or over, actually, but we'll get that all put out there. That's going to be exciting. Been a number of years since we had those. One other little thing, and we got a lot of fun things that have not yet been deployed or announced. One other thing I want to say is your next guest is Zach Freeman, right?
Yes, sir.
So I want to congratulate Zach. He was a busy man this year with his, you're going to talk to him about his race ranch class championship. Well, you know what? He pulled that off at Texana also. So he was a busy dude, and congratulations to him on both of those tracks.
Absolutely. That dude right there, he got after it this year. And I don't know, Monty, if you got a chance to see that race Saturday night, but that was one hell of a finish right there that he was a part of. So yeah, really, really cool stuff for him. Monty, always a pleasure. And I'm just a text away or whatever if I can help with anything. Of course, you and Bobby communicate on y'all stuff, but let me know what I can do. And man, we'll just make that small town racetrack, make it do some really good things.
Awesome. Thank you guys for having us.
Absolutely, my man. Take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
You bet. Bye-bye.
You bet. Take care. There he goes. Monty Chamberlain. Big things happening out there. And I do like that they did, like he talked about. They were really quick on that. And he answered something that I really didn't want to ask, because I wanted to ask as quick as that schedule came out. I was curious if they had conferred with other tracks, and they did. So really cool. I think really good things are going to happen there.
I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, it's a lot of dates, but the way that it always works, your springtime, you never know what's going to happen in springtime. And hell, once, with the way that the rainouts hit, 4 or 5 rainouts in a row hit during the first part of the summertime, like Monty said, you couldn't tell it now with as dry as everything is around the state now. But man, there was like 3 or 4 rainouts in a row that just killed the momentum of that track. And, you know, like we've always said, you know, even if the cars are not on the racetrack and the butts aren't in the seats, those bills still have to get paid.
Yeah.
Rent's got to get paid. Electricity's got to get paid. The taxes got to get paid. All that stuff has to get paid, whether there's butts in the seats or cars on the racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the discussion right there. I mean, there obviously was a drain problem there. And I think that there was a little bit of, well, maybe that's not the case. Well, apparently it was, because there was a hell of a lot of work that went in there to get that resolved. And hopefully and I think it is, where you do need a good turd floater to really see how that thing is how it's all gonna sustain through this.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. And don't give it time. There'll be some turd floaters floating through there. That's just the nature of the beast down there by the Gulf Coast. You just never know what you're going to get. There's always a 10 to 15% chance of rain down there in the Gulf Coast between Corpus and Edna. So
yeah, you're always going to get it. You will always get it. There's no. I got to tell. I was driving to Corpus the other day. Zach Freeman coming up here in just about 1 minute. I was driving to Corpus the other day, and I don't even remember where it was. It was out around Skidmore or somewhere, and I was like getting rained on. And I'm about to message Owen. I'm like, hey, dude, I know Skidmore's still a long ass way from Corpus, but it was like a heavy duty rainstorm out of nowhere. It was one big black cloud. You know, I drove about 5 miles and it was gone. But you just never know down there. So, yeah, hopefully that's something that's going to do some really good stuff. All right, let's go back. Looks like this one we will go to the hotline as we dive in right here. The aforementioned, just Monty Chamberlain talking right there. Zach, I hope you were able to hear that. Congratulating you on not 1, but 2 championships. I got to tell you, this is the sharpest dressed man at the racetrack. This dude races in a tux. It is our man, Zach Freeman. How you doing, buddy? Oh, there he is. Oh, you might be on mute. Zach. Oh, well, hell, he left. But he does. He races in a tux.
That's right. It's a sharp driving suit he's got.
Yeah. It's always looking fly there when he's doing that. I'll take him down there just for a second and see if we can get him recommunicated. Zach, if you can hear me and it's not working, the camera may be the problem, the video may be the problem. Just I'll bring you back on. Just go audio only, and we could try it that way. Let's see if he can hear us. How about that, my friend? Can you catch us now? That would be no. So anyway, all right. Well, we'll continue to work on that. We'll work on that as we go. But E-mods, and this is something that I'm curious to talk to him about. That's why I'm hoping we can really make this connection, because the E-mods, and that's like Monty was talking about. A couple of things that I dug out of what Monty was talking about, where, you know, like you and I talk about, where you have the racers that have their tracks, and then you have a division like the E-mods that do travel. A little less expense. So it affords them the ability to travel to different tracks. And E-mods, there were 20 of them the other night, and they put on a whale of a show. It's just an unbelievable show. So E-mod definitely seems like the flavor of the, I don't want to say month. This is like what, 2 or 3 year cycles. Flavor of the buy years, we would call it right now, I guess.
Well, I think that, you know, obviously the cost-effective nature of it's not so much deemed as an entry-level class anymore, because you have various levels of racing experience now running, because it is a cost-effective class. It's not as expensive to run as a full-blown limited modified or USRA or, you know, IMCA Sport Mod. It's not near as expensive to go. They run the smaller chips. You don't need quite as much motor as you do in the other 2 classes. So, and then the tire bill. Tire bill is relatively inexpensive when we use relative in a general term of, you know, relative inexpensive compared to some of the other tires that some of the big mods go through. But I think all in all, I mean, I think right now, you know, with the way the economy's going and the way that racing expenses are going, I think that it's the cost to fun or cost to competition ratio, cost to fun ratio, pick your ratio that you want to talk about. That ratio is starting to work, and you see them all over the place. I mean, obviously the junior limiteds had kind of the same aspect of it. There's just a limitation of the driver. That's why I've always said I'm always more of an E-mod guy versus a junior limited, because you can expand the drivers there on that. But Waco didn't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one of those where it's like, it's not so much just a beginner entry level class anymore. You're starting to see some of these other guys that are coming over and doing really well in the class, making it really competitive.
No doubt.
You guys hear me now?
There it is right there. There's our man, Zach Freeman. Zach, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, man, sorry. I've been waiting on this all day and thought I had service, Wi-Fi, and it come down to the line. I think it's all Monty's fault. It's a pretty hard person to follow.
That's that's that guy. That's why they call it. What do you call him, Bobby? The Warden County
Playboy.
Warden County Playboy.
Yes, sir.
What happens when you follow that dude? So when I introduced you there the first time, I said the sharpest damn looking racer at the track, man. Why are you always showing up in a tuxedo out there to go race?
Hey, you always got to be ready to party. You never know when it's going to go down. Daniel's always got some beer ready to be drank, so I'm ready to party.
That's right. That's awesome.
I've had my fair share. When Derek won that race, I think before the season finale, I told him in Victory Lane, I said, you know what? I said, I will come have a beer with you tonight. He's like, no, you won't. And sure enough, I went over there and watched the end of Mod Wars with Derek and Daniel over there. And, they're great bartenders and great waitresses because they will not let you leave empty handed without a beer for very long. So
no, not at all.
Hey, Zach, and I got to tell you right there when I saw you after the races, I knew I liked you for a lot of reasons, man, but you had my flavor of choice, dude. I don't know if that's your flavor of choice or somebody just handed you that, but you had one of those natties, my brother.
Yes, sir. You can't go wrong with the old fatty natty.
I said, no, this is good people right now. Good people.
Yeah, no, that's definitely my choice right there.
Yeah. Before we go into it, and people say you don't really drink that. I'm like, yeah, I do. Yes, I do. Saturday night. Talk about that night. When Daniel wasn't there, it that kind of sealed that part. But still, it was. I mean, this thing was so tight. It couldn't have got no tighter than it was. Kind of talk about that night and then the finish.
Man, that night was wild. The track was great. During our feature, I think it was the second caution, third caution, man, the water started coming up, man, it got slick, and then all that sand coming up, and it got pretty rough. But Calhoun, he showed me his nose once there on bottom. I was like, and he's always super, super fast. So I was like, well, I'm going to ride the bottom for a little while and try to hold him off. And I told Sean after the race, he's like, man, I've never been so happy to see somebody throw up 5 fingers in my life, because this was a workout. And then a little bit later, Parker showed up and on the outside. It's like, man, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to make this green machine as wide as I possibly can, try to hold off a few more laps. And then it come down to the checker, and I don't know what happened. Apparently we made it there first.
I couldn't even tell. I couldn't even tell, dude, from where I was. I mean, y'all came out of the corner, y'all went across, and I'm like, the winner is. I didn't say shit. I'm like, we're gonna let somebody else.
That's what my car owner was saying. He's like, man, Rodney, he likes to talk, and when that happened, he shut up. He quit talking. I pulled up next to Parker, and we looked at each other at the same time, and both threw our hands up, like, who was it? And that was the deciding call.
There it is.
So, yes, sir.
Hey, Zach, your season didn't start out the best of ways down there in Texana. Talk about that opening night there when the drive shaft decided to do a peekaboo over by your elbow.
Yeah. Like I've never had a car this nice. The car owner, Paul and Laura, they offered me the ride at the end of last year. So I took it to Anthony, and they pretty much told me, do whatever you want to do to it. These are the colors we want. I'm like, I can handle that. So I had Anthony Gordon at All In. He put me a nice body on it and redid the cockpit. And he's like, oh, you'll never have no issues. Like you said, first night out, man, the drive line come through. And I think if I was going any faster, it could have been a lot worse. Like you said, Bobby, it come through the floor and it hit just right. It probably wouldn't have mattered how thick of metal it was, but it come through there just right. And it come up and hit my elbow and shoulder and got wedged in the seat. Oh, and like I said, it was first of the year was rough for us, but it's like all the old racers say, all the races are won in the shop. And
that's right.
That's where I'm at right now. In the shop, I've got the E-mod in and the truck in right now. But yes, sir.
Zach, talk about the E-mods. We were just talking about that. I don't know if you heard Monty or not, but we were talking about where, I mean, obviously the car count, I know every time I've been in Corpus, I mean, you guys are the high car count. I mean, every time, you know, you've got every skill level, it seems like. I mean, you got new, middle, veteran, I mean, all different in there. Kind of talk about the beauty of those. I mean, obviously expense is a little less, but there ain't no damn cheap race car that you're going to find. Kind of talk about the allure, as the fancy people say, of an E-mod.
Well, like you're saying, you know, no race car is cheap, but these I'm not going to say are cheap, but they're somewhat cheap. You know, we get to run the pull-offs, which, you know, like the limiteds, you know, we're not having to spend $160, $180 a tire. You know, most of our tires are just like the factory stocks, F45s. You know, we can get them $25 to $40 a piece. So that does help a lot. And I'm going to say most of everybody's running a crate. I ran a crate the first half of the season, and I switched over to an open motor, which, you know, the crates, you know, all of them are the same. So that helps with everything. But yeah, I mean, like that, it's kind of hard, but the competition, like you're saying, is unreal. Like you're saying, from veteran drivers to, you know, first timers. But, you know, every race, everybody has gotten faster. You know, like me and Parker and Daniel and Calhoun, Derek. You know, Derek showed up in the middle of the year, and man, he just started dominating. But, you know, when you get a 2025 chassis, that helps. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, the competition's been great. You know, and I think it helps everybody around. You know, to have some fast cars, slow cars. Yeah, it's just like the factory stocks. But you know, we plan on continuing it next year a little bit. See what happens next year. We're not running for points next year.
Sure.
No. I got fortunate enough that Scott Walker, that bought the truck series, he offered me a truck ride. So I'm gonna be wheeling a truck around a little bit. I drove it in Pleasanton last truck race, and
I saw that. Yeah.
You know, we did good in the heat race, which it was just a disaster night anyway for us. The starter went out on the E-mod, then the battery went dead on the truck, then the fan come apart, water pump come apart on the truck. So, but, yeah, we're going to see what'll happen next year. We're running 3 classes. We're going to try the factory stock or a pure stock a little bit next year too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Look at that. Man with the tux has got the man with the plan, right? I mean, so, you know, taking off and going around there. So you mentioned the doubling up on the track championships. Was that something that was designed from week one, or did you just kind of get in the points battle early? And it's always tough at the beginning of the year. You get 2 or 3 races in and you see your name there towards the top of the points or the points leader, and your idea changes about what you really want to do. Was that the case with you running both tracks, or I guess technically all 3, because you're running 937 too?
Yeah.
But talk about that. Did that change the mentality trying to double up like that?
No, that just made it even worse, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I bet.
The car owner, he wanted to run for points. I told him, I was like, yeah, if you want to run for points, we'll run for points. But, I mean, it's still going to be a lot of work. But, no, that was the intention, was run for points at all 3 tracks. Like I said, I don't know what it is with me in 37, but I got something over me there. But
yeah, that's the one closest to you, isn't it?
I know it. It's 5 minutes down the road. And
that's what I thought.
It's the worst for me.
Oh, well, that's all right. That's all right. It makes it sweeter when you're driving back from Corpus and Edna. When you come back a winner, you know, you can savor it a little more.
Yeah, for sure.
A few more natty light. Well, I mean, not on the road or anything like that. I wouldn't dare say that. But so Zach, talk about all the people you mentioned, your car owners. Talk about all the people that make this happen for you, man. Because
the car owner, Paul and Laura Coulter, you know, they gave me the ride and pretty much told me go for it and do whatever you want. Yeah. We got All In Design, you know, Anthony and Russell, you know, they got all our merch, which is on Race On, you know, all the bodies, all that good stuff. We got Hawkeye Oilfield Services, United Vision, 365 Trucking, Levitt Car Wash there in Pleasanton, Finhorn Logistics, Spreen, Swinson, Winter Circle, Schaefer Motor Oil, And Eric and Uncle Pete, man, them two, Eric Ramos in the number 9 truck, man, he has gone above and beyond helping me out.
Yes,
And
sir.
I couldn't be where I'm at without him, for sure.
Yeah. Man, that's a good dude right there. That's a good dude. Yeah, no doubt about it. Zach, man, you're a good one, man. It's been fun to get out there, get to watch you. Oh, and our man from Unlock Texas is probably checking in. I did hand you that cap, didn't I?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
When you were eyeballing my beer.
That's when I wanted that tall boy.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
I wasn't going to drink that night, and that plan didn't work. So anyway, all right, my man. Congratulations on both championships. And,
thank y'all very much.
I know we're going to see you really. Hey, are you doing any of the postseason stuff coming up around here?
Yeah, I think we're going to run the pure stock. I'm real debatable on the DTK. I had 2 E-mod motors. I put one in my factory stock, ran Cotton Bowl. And I don't think it's really going to have enough. You know, it's like the old rules package.
Yeah.
But we might try it. But we're for sure going to run the pure stock in Corpus, and then we'll run the factory and E-mod and truck. We're going to run triple duty in December.
Damn, so that's a lot. That's a lot.
At least it's going to be cool.
Yeah, hopefully.
In theory,
hopefully.
yeah.
Hopefully. All right, my dude. Take care, man. We'll see you down the road soon, brother. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank y'all very much.
You got it, man. Take care. There he goes. Zach Freeman. That's a character right there. Good dude. All around good dude right there, man. That's I do, man. I love that outfit. The first time one of the first times, the first time that I won, that he won, that I was announcing, he dove out of that thing, and I'm like, what in the hell is that, man? Super cool. I like that.
Yeah, no, he was excited. He finally got the monkey off his back at Texana on the season finale night. So he was able to wrap up the championship and win the main event. That's what you love to do when you try to do it. And he was really happy. That was one of the first times I got to talk to him in Victory Lane, got to see him all dressed up and dazzled out and ready to roll. So, that's going to be a tough go, trying to run all 3 there in Corpus. But I mean, if you have the support, we've seen other guys do it. Namely, Jared Maupin is one that likes to double up and triple up and sometimes quad them up. Depending on how many, what the money situation looks like. So, it's a lot of work, but we've seen guys do it. So it's not impossible, but man, as long as you got the team behind you and the support to help you in the pit to switch in between those machines, I guess, more power to him. I mean, I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do it, but then again, that's why Zach races and I don't.
Yeah. By the way, Jared did double up in Corpus the other night. So, emphatically. So, yeah, exactly right. All right, let's go back in. It was a championship and big race weekend. I guess all the way down from the coast, all the way up 35. I guess you shift over to 105. The 105, the only one not represented here this evening, and I almost reached out to Trey Schmidt. He won the sprint car race there, but we are good. So anyway, let's welcome in a winner of the Fall Classic in the this is Waco IMCA Southern Sport Mods is what we call them over there. It is our man Lil Nasty. It is Trevor Cogburn. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are y'all?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Fall Classic, dude. How long you been attending that little soiree, little party over in Waco?
I've been attending it since 2017.
Oh, okay.
Racing wise.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is awesome, my man.
So Trevor, tell us about it, man. Obviously that I think it was the 27th annual Fall Classic there in Waco. I mean, you added to an illustrious list of winners for that deal. Walk us through the whole weekend. I mean, was it just as easy as showing up and kicking ass, or do you have to make a lot of changes? Tell us about the weekend overall for you.
Well, first off, we had some motor issues the weekend before at Big O and Ennis, and so we came and messed with the motor a little bit. So we went to practice, and they had you can draw the night before. So we went ahead and drew, and I was telling my dad, let's go ahead and bring some money up there so we can get some mulligan draws, and I ended up drawing them one, and that's what helped out a lot.
No doubt about it. Trevor, before we talk about with the sport mods, one of the things Waco does a lot of really good things, But Waco does a hell of a job there with the Stars of Tomorrow, with the junior limiteds, and you were a product of that. I mean, you did that for a very short time, and then moved up. Kind of talk about how great that is, where it kind of teaches you how to drive these cars, and that way you're not going in totally blind when you're racing with 80 of these things that show up at these races.
Yes, sir. We raced junior limiteds 3 years, and it was very good years. But we definitely did not have the competition as the kids do now. With
Yeah.
they average 15 cars a night. I wish I had that opportunity. I think it would help me out a lot with getting in lap traffic and just everything else. But yes, the stars of tomorrow. There's something else to watch nowadays.
Oh, they sure are, man. They sure are.
So, Trevor, talk about the sport mod class as a whole. We've kind of seen it come up. We kind of seen the participation go down a little bit. Now it seems like it's kind of on the upswing, depending on what racetrack you're at. I mean, from your perspective, as somebody that drives in that class and owns one of those cars or races one of those cars, where is it right now? Is it back on the upswing? Is it a little kind of down, waiting for more car count? I mean, talk about that. Like, what's the state of the sport mod right now?
I think it's about the same it's been the last 2 or 3 years. Waco had about 6 more cars this year than they usually do due to Boyd not racing this year. And I think the car count, I mean, it could be more than what it is for sure. But I think everybody's starting to do away with getting out of the sport mod or doing all that and going stock car racing. I see a lot of stock cars being coming up around lately.
Yeah, that's a good point. To where it really seems like it varies, because like way down south, you get an abundance of people going to E-mod, or it seems like maybe trying to dive into factory stock, and pure stock, is starting to grow a little bit. But yeah, you're right about that with the stock cars. So with the Waco theme kind of still going there, Trevor, the ones that are there at Heart of Texas, man, you guys are the cream of the crop. I mean, with Garin and all these different guys, kind of talk about that. There may only be 12 to 15, 16, 17, but man, every damn one of them could win.
Yes, sir. We have average about 15 cars a night, and there's no slow ones. Not at all. It's it's definitely a competition, and staying focused every night with all the competition that comes from everybody there, especially the 17 car, Shepard, Garin. And you have all these out of towners come like Jarrett Branson because Boyd was not running this year, and there's and Wilkins. There's so many that I can name off my top of my head that are competitive every week.
Oh, sorry. So Trevor, tell us about your car, dude. We've been popping pictures of it up. I mean, is it one of those newer cars? Are you guys able to make it work with an older chassis? I mean, talk about your racing program a little bit.
My racing program, I've kind of drove everything about the sport mods. I've been in an Express, a Wicked, a Hellion. I won the junior with my Hellion and the National Rookie of the Year in my Hellion, and then I'm a little too tall to run anything else. So Jason said he could build me some tall cars. So I've been in an IRP ever since then, and I can't complain with the dude. If I call him, he's going to answer the phone, and he knows what's going on in the sport mod racing world. I think he's the top of the line right now.
Yeah. Trevor, so Fall Classic was that it, or is there more that you're going to do? I know there's big shows still to go. I know that's where it's kind of weird, because now down south we're going to have a shitload of them. What are you guys going to do before we turn the calendar to 2025?
We planned on being this being the last weekend, but with them bringing in limiteds to race with USMTS in 2 weeks, I think we're just gonna run that and then call it a season, because I really wanted to go to I-37 and race the showdown in the DTK Memorial, but I'm end up going to be going to the Dome in Missouri to watch all them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what do you think of that, dude? We were talking to somebody last week, and they were getting ready to test the car to take to the Dome. I mean, isn't it nuts? I mean, now granted, the opinion varies on the quality of that racing surface after a couple of races, with as rough as it gets when you see it on TV. But I guess it doesn't matter because they sure don't have a hurting for cars when they go to race in the dome, do they?
No, sir. I think I like if I had to modify it, I'd definitely try to go to it. I think running on that motocross dirt would be fun because it gets so rough.
Yeah.
It's like racing the beginning of Waco when you have the rain in the spring and then getting back into racing. Like this year, we had a 5-week rain out, and then we got the All Star Shootout to come out, and it was rough, rough, rough. And I ended up winning it that night because it was so rough, and everybody was kind of tiptoeing around. But I like that cornfield stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Trevor, lastly, man, talk about, your family, talk about all the folks that do this for you, man, because, like I said, I've been watching you here for, several years when I first started heading out there. Tell us, everyone that puts all this together for you, brother.
I can't thank my dad enough. I got class at nights, and he's the one who helps me a lot, especially when I got class at nights. And my mom, she's really supportive of me. Even though she don't go to the track, she supports me a lot. My grandparents, my brother, Morgan, Molly, Clint, my uncle Chandler for helping me every week. Like last weekend at Fall Classic, he was there every night, changing tires, changing shocks, and doing everything I needed him to do for me, setting air pressure and
Yeah.
all that. But I also can't thank Affiliated Auto Glass enough, Waco Freightliner for the Fletcher Power Plant, C3 Chicken Coops, Connor Crush Stones, King Seamless Gutter, Lone Star Truck Group, and Old West Cowboy Church for the Sunday morning preach, Double H Livestock, Interbank, um, Cattleman's Wife, Trujillo's Mexican Restaurant, Southwest Maintenance, Wicked Fast Transmissions. There's so many I can't even name them off.
Yeah. Yeah. So it looked like at the end of that, when you won the classic there, man, it looked like a lot of excited people. Got kind of talk about that, man. Just winning that's a huge event. That is a massive race right there. Just kind of talk about the excitement for all of you guys, because now you're etched, and Lord knows they keep all the damn history there at Heart of Texas. You're now a fall classic winner, like Bobby was talking about.
Yes, sir. It was definitely a crazy. I know I was starting on the pole, but I didn't have no expectations of winning it. I had such a stacked field behind me, and starting out front like that, you don't know where to run. And
Yeah.
that's the bad part about starting on the pole on a big show. But we got to pull it off. But after the races, when going over the scale, my dad's like, "Go up there and burn the tires." So I went up there and burned the tires, and it was just an exciting night. After that, going to the uh, victory lane and just celebrating after the races with my family.
I heard you mention a church as a sponsor. So I'll ask this delicately: was there a party after the win?
Oh no, sir, there was no party. We actually just
Okay.
had a few drinks and then went to the Whataburger and celebrated and went home.
But more people need to do that. You people need to act better. As I'm sitting over here sipping a natty light while this is going on. But anyway. Super good stuff, man. Congratulations, Trevor. Man, just like I said, it's been really cool to watch you escalate all the way up there and then racing further up north and of course coming back and then winning the classic. Looking forward to what comes next, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. There he goes. A little nasty. Trevor Cogburn, winner of the 2024 Fall Classic in the IMCA Southern Sport Mods over at Heart of Texas Speedway in Waco. Another great season at Waco, capped with the good old Fall Classic. And they did. They had a hell of a – well, the rainouts, because like he was talking about, those rainouts were horrible because it wasn't – it's one thing when it's like rain out, race a couple of weeks, rain out or whatever. It was every week.
It's everywhere. Same
Yeah.
problem happened in a lot of racetracks, but Waco and Texana got the worst end of that. Race Ranch got a couple of rainouts in there that didn't help out at the right time either. But yeah, rain, you couldn't, like you said, you couldn't tell it now with as dry as everything is now. But damn, it was that late spring, early summer, man, that was rough on racetracks.
Oh man, it really was. I mean, it was absolutely horrible when all that was going on. And yeah, I think for the Waco, when that was going on, I think there were two, because it was early enough in the season, because like my calendar was always for Waco. It was early in the season when I could go. And I think a couple of those, 2 or 3 of those, I was supposed to work maybe with Joe, and it just didn't work out. I mean, it was and it was like I knew by Wednesday a couple of times where it was like that bad. So hopefully that's something that they can overcome. But again, this is where you go back to like Monty was talking about at Texana. One of the things that I saw when they initially posted the schedule, kind of in the comments right there, it said, with rain dates and all that, we're not going to select rain dates yet. And I like that move also, because it makes it hard. What track was it? Maybe it was Cotton Bowl, that one season where it's like, okay, here's the dates, here's the rain dates, and it would like rain out this event, and the first rain date came up, and hell, it was getting rained out.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, that gets really hard to try to, then you're just kind of piecemealing, and that hurts your car count, and the crowd, they don't know what's going on. And it makes it tough.
Yeah, it's crazy in today's world with social media and everything else. When you talk to a race fan or you talk to a racer, well, hell, I didn't know who was racing. I didn't know when we were racing. It's like, nah, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah. Well, there's the old thing. Let me tell you, I have stood many, many times with Owen Pittman, and that phone is always the text notifications going off or it's ringing. Owen Pittman is unbelievable in a lot of ways, but it's always with him. Like at the different tracks, it's like I've been around him in Corpus, phone rings. He's like, Race Ranch. I'm like, how do you know that that's, well, I mean, I guess if it's somebody he knows, it's going to have their name. But like then I see him at Houston, HMP, or in his time at Texana, I'm like, man, I'd be all confused. I'd be like, where am I? I'd answer. It's like when when I left a job that I had been at for many, many years and got into doing something else, I would always say, hey, I'd cold call people. Hey, this is Rodney Rodriguez and I'd say the company name. And they're like, why is a countertop guy calling me about real estate? So anyway, yeah, that's really, really hard right there. But yeah, good run right there for Cogburn. Ray Doyon is coming up here he will be here at 7:50. So we'll get him on and check this out. As a matter of fact, this just popping up. This is Zach that was on the show, Zach Freeman there. I'd like to offer Parker the trophy. The finish was super close. It was. And depending whose photos you look at, I mean, you can conclude your own conclusions. And honestly, I didn't care who won it. It was a super fun, exciting race, which it was. And I think the good thing about it was where it was really cool for Zach, kind of speaking for him, just kind of thinking everything that went on. It was a matter, he needed to, for the championship. He had the championship done because, Brianna, which he was doing a really good job. She just couldn't get through the field. For Zach, whatever happened in that finish, he was going to be the champion. And so we'll let Parker know that. We will definitely let Parker know that and pass that on to the Race Ranch. They can figure out what to do with that. Super cool move right there, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Zach's one of the top notch when it comes to sportsmanship. And so that, you got to see more of that nowadays, right? Everybody's, racing's always been about looking out for number one or number two, depending on your teammates. But, you don't see that as much anymore. It's just a dog eat dog world right now that it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. Before Ray comes on and hey, super cool right there. When I mentioned Trey Schmidt, he's actually listening or watching. So, great job out there, man. With that, I did hear that from a couple of other folks that you had a really, really nice racetrack out there with 105. And again, you as we're start to get to the end of everything, I think 105 is another racetrack, Bobby, that we can talk about. We probably need to get somebody on from there. That way we can kind of button up the season, put a bookend on it, because they were on with us early in the year. But you think about them, I mean, with weekly racing, I mean, they were able to pull off a full calendar. Good car counts. I mean, they entertained the Lone Star 600 this year, and then sprint car racing like that. This Halloween Havoc that just went by this past weekend. It really seems like that 105 is really going in a great direction as well. In a location, you've got HMP, but and that's why the folks that are always beating up, well, HMP should be a dirt track. No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. You have a dirt track. There's a dirt track there. Go support that one. Go support that one if you want dirt track racing.
Yeah, if you want pavement racing, support the pavement track while it's there. And if you want dirt track, go down right up the road, 20 miles or so, and hang a left there on 105 and go, right up the road. This iteration of 105 has been successful for a number of years. There for a while, it was like promoter after promoter after promoter. Every year it was changing names every couple of years. So this group they've got at 105 right now has actually done fairly well.
Yeah, they really have. They really have. And when you have Howard Willis racing at your racetrack, I mean, that in and of itself is going to bring thousands of people to show up right there because, I mean, who doesn't want to see a living legend? And I think he actually was in, I think I saw Street Stocks this week and a second place finish. I mean, so there you go. The great Howard Willis out there at 105. But yeah, and it's the same argument I see a lot of times where it's like, I was talking to someone the other day and it's like, we need to build another asphalt track in Texas. I'm like, why? We have one. No, we can't get nobody to go race there now. I mean, what's another one going to do? Well, the location. Well, I mean, if you look at it right now, I mean, and this is oh man, what is it? 47. Okay. We got a couple minutes. Where would you build an asphalt track right now where everybody's going to show up? Because it used to be, back in the old days, you had a lot of Austin, you had a lot of Houston, you had a lot of Corpus, you had a lot of San Antonio, and all of those tracks had their tracks, and it was less expensive back then. I mean, not near the shit we're dealing with now. You could travel, and they did. Back to that conversation. But where would be the place to New Braunfels? I don't think that's the answer. That's the answer for baseball, football, everything else. I don't think that's the answer for a short track.
Well, no, there's too much urban sprawl. You'll be put out of business within 5 years with as many houses as they're building up and around New Braunfels.
Yeah.
You can't do it around Austin because there's too many environmentalists. You can't do it there. They can't fill the grandstands at Texas Motor Speedway. So you don't really want to put it in Fort Worth. That just leaves Corpus. You could try to do it in Corpus, but that's too far south. San Antonio is probably the same problem, too far south. So I mean, oh look, that leaves Houston. Oh hell, there's already one there.
Yeah, and I know it's far. I mean, trust me, I know it's far.
We make the drive. It's pretty damn far.
Yeah, the whole thing is, I mean, that really just seems like the place and the marketability there. And I say that a lot, and I've had people challenge me to where it's like, you talk about that market being so big or whatever, and it's like, why do you say that? I mean, nobody's coming to do whatever there. I'm like, well, they for one, they don't know. And I think especially when you're in a situation like Houston is, and by the way, Houston, November 9th, that is coming up. Funny that we talk about that because we will show you this. It's one of those things to where it's like, yeah, I mean, the track or the group doing the oval track, they don't have all these marketing. That's where it needs to be, the word of mouth. And the word of mouth goes a long way. And this social media and keyboard warriors, when we do it the right way, that's something where you just got to get a few right people there in that metropolis of Houston to latch on right there, and you're going to be successful. But it's just there was a post the other day that I replied to about the HMP stock cars, and it's like, well, why the stock cars need them back on the schedule? I'm like, well, they've kind of been pulled off a little bit because of the lack of interest. And it said, well, you got to race them all the time or they're not going to show up. So we've been racing them all the time and ain't nobody shown up. We've been doing that for 2 years and nobody's shown up.
Yeah,
gotten better. It's gotten better.
A little better.
Gotten better. But I mean, look, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and blow air up anybody's skirt. The legacies and the legends are what are strong over there right now.
Yeah. I'd love to see the Crown Vic class take off over there.
Oh, dude, me too. And I have had some discussions there with, I've kind of reached out to Eddie Shoemaker, just casual discussions. And it's like, I mean, that's hard because for that, I mean, it's as far to go to Mobile as it is for Mobile to Houston. And the other part about that is this is where we get back to whatever division where Mobile and Pensacola would probably work, but hell, that don't even work that good anymore. That would maybe work, but them to us, why would they come to us? They've got those two. we need our community.
Need our ecosystem to work.
Yeah. Martha, the crossroads of Texas Victoria, you got one 49 miles down the road. It would be my answer to that. And that is a very nice facility. Like Bobby's alluded to. I think Texana with those improvements, like when Monty was talking, Victoria would be great. I would love Victoria if Texana wasn't over there. But like when Monty's saying we're going to put people in the suite, short track wise, that's a suite.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's an interesting. It'll be an interesting dynamic when they have to sit there and listen to me right next door. But hell, even the scores, they got to close the door when I start yapping. So we'll see. We'll see how well that works with the folks up in the suite.
Yeah. So I mean, for pavement, I don't know, but and that's just so weird with the whole dynamic of it, because with dirt you can drop them anywhere. Boom, 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 and it always works. So for the most part, seems like it works for the most part. I do think that it is a shame that the San Antonio area does not have a pavement track, nor the Corpus area. I think that's a damn shame. All right, enough of that shit. We've got all off season to talk about what could have been or what could be. But right now, there's still a lot of things that are going on, like right now, like coming up this weekend. And then coming up in December, big shows that we've been talking about. And I-37 in Pleasanton is going to be the spot to where you were going to find two of those massive shows. And we bring in the man. We'll let Ray do his. Ray, you got to do it, man. Got to do it for me.
Hello, I-37 Speedway fans.
There it is.
There it is.
There it is right there.
Thank you.
How's prep going for y'all, buddy?
Going good. On wood. We plan to get the races in no matter what. We'll do, I mean, within reason, obviously, but we're gonna do our best to get it in, even if we get a little shower or so, whatever. We'll figure it out.
No doubt. Sure.
So, Ray, what's been the secret
sir.
sauce down there, man? We talked to Monty, and it's been like one of those where, you've got your core group of guys that race at Cotton Bowl, core group of guys racing there at the Race Ranch, core group of guys racing in Edna. But, man, your ecosystem, I don't know if it's with the Fireballs or the Sport Compacts, whatever it is, your ecosystem has done nothing but grow over the last couple of years. Talk about the evolution of that, how you guys just have created a fan count and a racer count that just is pretty damn impressive.
I think so. I think it's Fireball class, man. That Fireball class is on fire, if you will. It was an idea that we had that just seemed to make sense, because we knew with all the asphalt tracks shutting down and, old school racers, there was a lot of cars out there that didn't fit any new contemporary rules. Like, dude. So we were full of weeds, grass, there's shit on top, this storage, It's like, man, let's create a class that'll open it up for all these cars. And man, the response has been great. I think our highest Fireball count this season was maybe 20 or 21. And since then, I know of 4 more being built and should be hopefully at DTK. So it's been great.
Yeah.
I think it's
And I think, Ray, that really is the thing. I mean, you kind of hit on that, to where when I saw the Fireball thing, I was like, okay, if the guys and ladies want to do it, because there really was, I mean, so many of those out y'all's way. I mean, I know in Austin there's not many, probably just mine, maybe 2 others, but yeah, that really is the thing right there. Anything special? I mean, I know 2025 is down the road, but is there anything that maybe for the Fireballs, you guys, because nobody else has been able to make that stock car reinvigorated stock car class work other than y'all, including Houston, the group I'm a part of?
Yeah, our rules are unique. Like I said, the idea was to make it simple for guys to come race. We knew there's a lot of old engines on shelves, like, do you remember the old double hump heads? camel humps, you know,
Oh man.
your 461s,
Yes, sir.
462s, 502s,
Damn right.
291. I mean, I've been racing for a long time,
Yep.
so I know all those. They're just on
Oh yeah.
shelves. I just bought a set ready to go the other day for $250. Well, guess what?
Oh,
You can't run them in any other class hardly, other than, you know,
Yeah.
street stock or an IMCA stock car, but they all use aftermarket stuff too now. But
Yeah.
it's just a cost-effective class. It's still racing. It's still expensive, but it's one of the lesser cost-effective classes. And put them on a cheap tire. We
Yep.
have a 6,600 RPM rule, and I think that helps a lot. It even feels guys. So
Mhm.
set of rules. We've got to sharpen our pencil in the off season. We're gonna have to, you know, we're learning. So with this class, so there's a few things we're gonna, you know, sharpen and make it more black and white. But it's not gonna be much. We're gonna do our best to not cost the racer money, and, you know, keep it simple and clean.
Absolutely.
So Ray, I remember when we had you on for the inaugural DTK Classic, if you will, Memorial, and now you guys are on year number 6, and this is the event. Y'all put a lot of effort into a lot of events, but this is the one that y'all seem to really want to be the most successful. Obviously, you got that big race coming up the first weekend in December, right? But it just seems like the DTK is that's the one that means the most to you guys throughout the year. So talk about how that race has evolved over the last couple of years from, you know, when we talked about doing the first one till we go into year number 6.
Yeah, sorry, I'm distracted. I have a late model pulling up unexpectedly. Didn't even know anything about it.
Oh damn.
How cool
Okay.
is that?
Oh man.
uh,
I love it.
I missed part of your question, but I think we're just talking about the difference between DTK 6 and how much work we put into it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Man,
Yeah,
we have
from the
done a lot.
inaugural one to now.
Oh, well, the inaugural one, man, you know, our facilities, I feel like, have improved by leaps and bounds. It's still a redneck hillbilly track, right? But we try to
It's the
always
best
keep
team.
it clean. We try to keep it clean. We try to keep bathrooms clean. We got air conditioned bathrooms. Keep air fresheners in. We try to, you know, do our best to make it a place where people are like, I don't mind being there. You know, it's clean and comfortable, and so we want to go. You know, we want people to feel like, I want to go. I don't want to miss out. We want to be there. So we've worked hard for all these years to try to improve facilities and make things better each year. This year, we've done a lot. We've been working on a lot and up front by the access road that comes out this week. Operation for K6, but mostly also for the more pit parking. We're going to have extra lights for the track and the pits for both big shows. We're going to have big pit parties on practice nights. We've built some new implements to help track prep. So if our track kind of locks down or something,
Yeah.
it's single groove, we're going to do a little track prep. We, you know, a lot of money on the line. We want to put on a good show, and we want the racers to have a chance to come from the back to the front. And that's our goal. We want to put on good racing because that's what matters the most for the fans, to see some passing going on.
Yeah. The DTK this weekend, and quickly, I do want to touch over with you with that December 5th through the 7th, the Texas Showdown at I-37 Speedway. $10,000 to win for the IMCA modifieds using IMCA rules. Limited modified $6,500, and then factory stocks $1,000 to win. That is a massive December show. Ray, how did that all come together, especially with the modifieds? Was it a lot of that you saw stems? Because y'all had great stems fields. Was that something where you said, man, let's do a big IMCA show?
Yeah, kind of definitely stems. You know, we've got some great partners. All this wouldn't be possible without Mike Terry. He behind it, as well as Steve Whitaker Jr. wanting to do something big for the modifieds. When he ran South Texas Speedway, I think it was him and XR maybe worked together on a big modified race. I think it was in January, but they had good results, you know, pretty good car count. It's like, man, we can put on a big race and try to draw a lot of guys from the Yankee states, as I call it, snow states, and give them a place to race. You know, they're kind of shutting down already, so they'll be itching in about 30, 45 days to get out of the house and go do a little racing. And so we just think it was an opportunistic weekend and time, and throw a bunch of money out there and hope to hell we get some support, because we're going to need it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of money. I think we have 55 to 60K on the line when we're around there. When you go add it all up, that's a lot. It's a big risk and gamble, especially for hillbillies like Mike and I to throw out there. It's risky. Like, you know, we're really hoping we get cars and people to show up. It's not, you know, we need the cars obviously, but we need people to show up. We need them to show up to, you know, seats and buy the general admission tickets and buy some concessions and just be there and take it all in. You cannot. I love race on, right? I love race on. They have all these tracks. Nothing beats it. You can't get the noise. You can't get the smell. You can't get the whole realm of everything unless you're there. And so we really need people to show up. And we want them to show up so that we can grow this too. We want to make it bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one thing to have the race.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's one thing to have the race on, but it's you're right. You can't beat being there in person. Like I said, the sights, the smell, the sounds are something that you can't get sitting behind the TV. But in terms of the overall, we've talked to you long before the streaming aspect of it. Is it almost a necessary evil now to have a streaming service at the track for the, you know, maybe just because you try to get exposure, you know, to get more people to come out later? Or is it, I mean, what's your take on streaming now after all these years?
I still like it. There's a lot to it. I feel like you get the aspect of rewatching races. And as a racer, sometimes you get film that helps you. As a promoter, sometimes you get to watch things. You catch mistakes you made. It helps you. It helps grandparents, people that aren't in our area that cannot physically make it to the track. Now they can watch the races and support their, you know, family or friends or whatever, right? So all that's great, but we can't lose the aspect that we still need to show up to the facilities and support, because that's what matters. It is just a better experience. Race on XR Flow and everybody will tell you, hey, go to the track. You know, I want you to go to the track. But if you can't, I'm telling you, like I went to I was able to go on the practice night and the first race qualifying night to hear the motors of these rides, you know, like 650, 700 horsepower screaming and just, you know, impressive. Like you sometimes you can hear one guy's motor. Like I could tell Jake O'Neill was wound up at the top and he was screaming and just so much rap, like a John usually is. But anyway,
yes,
it's just impressive. You know what I mean? You can't hearing it through a TV. I watched Flow the other night, and you can't hear those 900, 800 horsepower late model through the announcer's microphone. You know what I mean? You just don't. And so nothing beats being there. Still need to get out to the tracks. You need to keep it going, people. We need to support racing and keep it alive.
Yeah, and you can't smell it. That's the other part. No smells right there. Ray, so before we cut you loose, man, and let you figure out what the hell you got a late model doing over there, remind folks what DTK is, what DTK means, because I think that when you talk about memorial, you get a lot of memorial races, but this truly is a memorial race for some really, really special people.
Yes, sir. And don't let me forget to touch on a young man. I need.
Yeah, go right into it.
Doyen Torres, and Keelik. It's a memorial race in honor of our fathers, who all of our fathers got us into racing of some sort. Johnny was circle track racing. I was circle track racing. Mike Keelik was drag racing. My dad was actually a professional drag racer back in the 60s. He was one of the in Texas to go over 200 miles an hour in a funny car in Texas. But nevertheless, I was a young guy, and I was kind of running the streets a little too fast in my passenger vehicles and shit. And he was like, dude, enough. We gotta corral this and get you on a track and make it safe, you know?
Yeah.
So we did in 1994. And luckily for me, we started that in spring of 94. And my father passed away in the fall of 94, unfortunately, but I kept it going. It's hard for me to give it up because it's just part of me that I don't want to let it go. And I think I speak the same for Johnny and Mike. They just don't want to give up racing or be without racing in their lives. We don't want to have that we don't want to miss out on the everyday connection we have with our fathers in racing.
Right. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Whoever you had that you wanted to talk about.
Yes, sir. There's a young man. I might be saying the last name wrong because it's different. Liliver or Leievr, and I'm probably butchering it, but he's a young man in need of some help. He has gastroparesis, and it's a gastro problem. His gastro system does not function right, and he's in need of some assistance. And he's one of our racing fans, and he's a huge racing fan. He comes out to the races, and he's connected to tubes, and you know he's got a tough life. This young man going on right now, and he's already tried a few specific medicines, and they haven't done what the doctors needed to do, and he's fixing to try another one, and it's very costly for his family. And we just want to try to support him and raise some money. So Friday night, I think it's $3 off of our general admission price tickets. Going toward each admission ticket we sell is going to go to the young man. I'm going to match it. My company 3D is going to match that no matter what it is. I don't care. 1,000 people. I hope it costs me a lot of money. You know what I mean? Because I want to help out. I'm also encouraging racers to bring T-shirts that will fit him. I think he's a youth size large. Ryan's going to donate one of his ODS stems bags that he got this season, fill it full of racing T-shirts from drivers, and give it to the young man. Just want to do our part to help him, pray for him, and hope the best.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the real life right there. Racing is great. But that's when you have that, man, that's really, really tough.
Yeah, bro,
man.
Send hits me when kids are sick.
Yeah. Send us whatever information. Yeah. Send us whatever information, Ray, so we can kind of push it out on our stuff as well.
Yes,
you know, let everybody know that. Lastly, competitors and so forth that may want to, whatever, myracepass.com, probably the best place for everybody to do that at this point.
Yes, sir. On our Facebook page, we got a lot of information. We're still pushing it out, but My Race Pass, you can get pricing and times and all that kind of stuff coming up for this weekend. This weekend's completed. We're encouraging drivers to pre-enter, take advantage of some discount, and we're going to try to do some Racer Pro, get fans excited of who's coming. So please, guys, update your My Race Pass. Use it. It helps the announcers, right, Bobby, Rodney? If you got more information on My Race Pass from these drivers, like it will help them and their sponsors. I mean, it's like a no-brainer, man. Get your shit done. It doesn't take. Even a dummy on a computer like me actually did my own, and it was easy.
Yeah. I start reading stuff off sometimes that people put where it's like hometown. I don't fucking know Texas. I'm like, come on, man.
Oh my god.
Just like,
I mean, there's spots on there to promote. Guys bitch about not getting sponsors, but they won't even take the time to fill out My Race Pass and promote their sponsors for the announcers to promote it for them. It's like, dude, come on, do your part.
Yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt. Here we go. Got to pull this up. Your wife helped you. Come on, Ray. Hey, that's all right.
Hey,
it's like asking for directions.
But look, I did most of it, and she better back me up on that. But my wife's a saint, man. She helped me. She helped me log on to this thing too. That's why I said send it to my email. But I got the best.
Ray typed in RAY.
Hey, I gotta get you to ring the bell. My wife and I will be married 30 years this November 23rd. I don't know how the hell she puts up with me.
Oh, that's what I'm wondering. Damn, man, that is awesome, man. That's a saint right there. That is a
Oh, yeah.
saint indeed. I think we're all married to saints,
She's
as a matter of
she's the
fact.
sweetest.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. All right, my man. Good luck this weekend. I know this is a special one. I know you're going to have a packed. You're going to be packed this weekend. I don't think weather's going to be an issue. I think you're going to be just fine. So, looking forward to it, man. I think I may get to come see you guys in December. Go watch the action right there because I am not going to Pensacola. So, yeah, I think that'll be a cool event.
I like to hear that. I want to see local people come to San Antonio, to our racetrack in Pleasanton. And, I know the dome's big and I get it, but like if you ain't going to the dome and get your butt to our racetrack, that's the only way we're going to make this thing work and make it grow.
That's right. That's exactly right. Got to keep it going. All right, Ray, as always, man, thanks for the time. We'll do it again before the big one. Definitely do it again before the big one. And
that's for your time.
You bet. Take care.
Yeah, let's pray.
There he goes, Ray Doyon. They very much, I think we talked about it. Hell, was it today or was it last week? Where they've got their synergy like Cotton Bowl, to where it's like, man, they've got. I mean, their stands are, and they have that. They've got. He says redneck racetrack or whatever, which I guess it is, but for what they started with, they've done a hell of a job. And that's honestly one of the main reasons I want to go down there. I like to see how these tracks have progressed because there's a lot that I haven't been to in a long time.
Yeah, well, I hadn't been I-37 in a hot minute, but all the stuff that they've done, at least from the pictures we've seen, they just put in a new catwalk deal on top of a container. That was very popular that they put in to help watch the races. So I don't know, maybe we'll work out a deal. We can go down there and do a big pre-race show on Saturday.
Shit, no, I don't want to do that. I want to go drink beer all day and watch the races.
Well, you can drink beer during the show like normal.
Oh yeah, well that's true. That is very true. I guess I could do that. Yeah, we'll see if we can come up there with that one. That's going to be a big one. December 5th through the 7th at I-37 Speedway, the Texas Shootout. Do want to touch on a little bit of NASCAR before we jam out of here, Bobby. I know our Racing America folks are probably still in shock after all of that that went down yesterday in the NASCAR event. But before we do that, all that My Race Pass conversation that we were having, here's a little word about how My Race Pass works. Super easy. I highly recommend you download it. Here they are.
Welcome to the My Race Pass app, the #1 app for motorsports fans. We want to make sure you get the most out of your My Race Pass app experience. With your new free account, you can use the My Race Pass app to see race day information, including event entries and official lineups and results for over 600 organizations across North America. You can also see track information and purchase online event tickets for select tracks. With your free account, you can also search for a track or series on the My Race Pass app and favorite their profile to receive news and race day notifications on your mobile device. To see more information and to see which app subscription is best for you, be sure to visit getmrpapp.com. My Race Pass, the ultimate racing resource.
Yeah, that thing is pretty kick-ass. There's no way around that right there. I mean, Race Monitor's really good. I mean, but that right there, I think more for like what Race Monitor's good. I think for like race teams, where you just want to see times, you want to see all of that different loops and all these different things. But when it comes to like, if you really like race talking about with sponsors, hometowns, I mean, lineups and all that, My Race Pass is the only way to go.
And they got some kind of new announcer set up too, where you can they work out some kind of deal where you get the announcer feed, kind of like Track Tune used to do.
Oh, nice. Very good. Well, I mean, it makes a lot of sense because for whatever reason, some people like to hear that stuff. So anyway, good stuff. Again, those dates, it is with I-37, the DTK is this weekend, starting Thursday. And like Ray said, those Thursday practice days and so forth that they've got pit parties, barbecue, all that stuff. So that's what is that? 21st through 23rd is DTK, and then December 5th through 7th will be your Texas shootout. And we will talk to Ray about that one because that's going to be a big one.
It's going to be a big one.
$10,000 to win. All right, so over to NASCAR. So what'd you think of that yesterday? I mean, that Tyler Reddick to me. I've kind of been watching the Tyler Reddick pass on loop, and I'm like, okay, that's something that people need to hang up in their race shop, or that they need to have that video on their phone, because that is how you race. That's how you race. You size up the move, and then you just go balls out, and never got close to the guy. And to Blaney's credit, he didn't drive up on him. Of course, as high up as 45 was, if 12 would have turned up, they would have both been in the fence. But
man, Blaney screwed that up by going too low on the last corner of the last lap. But the problem is, the one thing that was missing that I noticed on that, we talk about the sound and being there. I wonder if they could hear the sound of Reddick's big balls bouncing off that outside wall when he drove in there as deep as he did. Because he was in there super deep and was just, you got Michael Jordan almost speechless from winning that race. That's pretty damn, when you have the most noticeable sports figure in the entire planet speechless because you just want to race for him and made a championship run for him. That's pretty damn impressive.
I was listening to Channel 90 today, and somebody, I don't know if it was a listener or one of the hosts, that made reference to the Chastain at Martinsville, and they were talking about it. This was almost as impressive as Chastain. I'm like, no, it's actually more impressive.
More impressive because he didn't just ram it and ride the wall.
Yeah, he wasn't leaning on the fence and just whatever. I mean, he stayed off the wall and just like you said, I mean, it was balls out. I mean, to me, and going a hell of a lot faster. I think it was that was a really cool. And the other part of this is, and obviously they're not going to say anything, but with all the other stuff that's going on for the 45 car to lock itself into the final four, I think that's kind of one of those moves where it's like, oh yeah, well, watch this. We're serious. I mean, I know the charter thing is a whole different thing, but still,
that's still going to work itself out.
It is.
Money solves problems. That's that simple.
You notice how quiet it's gotten. I mean, you've heard a little bit about it to where NASCAR kind of came back with whatever. They're and like, was it on the Texas Sports Unfiltered show where we were talking about where it's like, well, I saw a headline that said, well, NASCAR's prepared to go with 32 charter teams. I'm like, well, it ain't like there's 50 of them showing up at the track.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to get in, even if they're not. Hell, if anything, I know that it hurts them financially if they're not chartered, but still, it's all going to be fine. It's all going to be fine.
Working stuff out. Besides, it's one of those things to where like NASCAR did the injunction that said they can't reveal specific numbers publicly about the charters.
Yeah.
That tells you right there. There's lots and lots of. You don't want the public opinion on how you're sharing, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars every year.
I've always thought that was a huge mistake that they were making when it was like, well, it was Denny. Remember when we did a show when Denny bought a charter and it was like he paid X amount. It's like, I don't think people need to know that. I mean, that doesn't need to be that. I know with NFL contracts and MLB contracts and all that, everything's open information or whatever. But when it comes to that's a very detailed, very expensive business dealing. That doesn't need. I don't need to know that. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. It just pisses me off when I hear that, if anything. But it'll be interesting to see. But for the championship in and of itself, so you got Logano in there and you got Reddick. I don't know. Bell seems to be sitting in a pretty good spot. We're going to Martinsville. I think it'll be Bell in one of the Hendrick cars. Which one? I don't know. Maybe Byron. Byron will probably win Sunday or whenever they race over there. So your thoughts? Who's your final four?
Well, I think I sent you that one meme I was going to post on your page about Kyle Larson. But I think if he can keep from stepping on it, he's got a chance to do very well at Martinsville, despite Martinsville not being his track. Byron is the defending race winner. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those three Hendrick cars. We've seen Chase Elliott win there before in 2020 to get to the final. So
he was good yesterday.
It was Hendrick's. It's going to be Hendrick's race to lose with three of the four guys. But we saw last year Blaney won at Martinsville to make the race. He's going to be driven this weekend more than he has been in a very long time since he got to Phoenix last year. So it's going to be anybody's race to kind of get in. But I mean, the playoffs, everybody bitches about the playoffs, but it does what it needs to do. If it didn't work, you wouldn't see all these other sanctioning bodies going to the playoff format.
Right.
TV loves it because all the numbers are going up. There's a reason we're having that $1 million in-race tournament coming up in 2025 when they go to TNT and they go to Amazon Prime. You know, that there's a reason why all those big ass money stuff happens, because TV wants more in stuff, and they're getting more stuff by doing. Is it gimmicky? Sure. I still say this is the anti-Jimmy Johnson 5-in-a-row championship, because there's no way, if this playoff format was done back when Jimmy Johnson won 5 in a row, there's no way he wins 5 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
2 out of 3, maybe. Maybe 3 out of 5 every other year, maybe. But there's no this is designed where you're not going to get back-to-back championships. No way. If it happens, you talk about pretty damn impressive. That's pretty damn impressive.
And because during that era, I mean, during that time when Jimmy was doing that, I mean, they tried every damn thing else, it seemed like, and it never worked. So yeah, and the other part of it is with the season that NASCAR runs, I think, and especially with newer race fans that are now NASCAR fans, or even if you're not a huge hardcore new NASCAR fan, but you enjoy watching NASCAR racing, I think what this really affords NASCAR is the opportunity right now, because I mean, on Sunday you've got all this time of year when you're in championship time, you've got the NFL that's going on Sunday. I mean, hell, even MLB didn't try to set up the World Series to where they would have had a game yesterday, because they know they're not going to get anybody. And if you think about this, if you still had the old point system, what's the intrigue of even clicking over there for 10 seconds? Because I guess that's what registers, of even going over there to watch a stage. With all that NFL going on, you can watch a shitty NFL game. And I mean, I would have not watched Cleveland play Baltimore at all yesterday until I see on Red Zone that Cleveland's about to beat them. And I found that game and watched it. And that's the power of the NFL. And I think
Red Zone.
Our Red Zone. And I think what this playoff system does, like yesterday, if you happen to click over there knowing that you're whatever, and you see how this race is ending up when you got Denny. I think when Denny went to the lead at one point there at the end, that's when a lot of eyeballs were like, okay, I'm going to watch, because I don't want that fucker to win. And
true.
That's what this system does.
That's what it does. I mean, it puts eyeballs on TV. It gets harder and harder during the NFL. But if you really think about it, it's almost the lead in to Football Night in America.
Mm-hmm.
The number one, well, I guess it's number 2 behind Sunday Night Football in terms of ratings for network TV. But I mean, NBC's going all in. It's going to be fun to watch, but it's I don't know. You just can't compete with the juggernaut that is the NFL. Between, I mean, how many people really would normally give a damn about, the Browns and the Ravens, other than the fact, unless you got some fantasy guys in there, but that's the power of Red Zone. I call that the ADD football channel right there.
Yeah. The wife is always like, can you just leave it on one game? I'm like, that channel doesn't have one game. It's
right. All of them.
It just goes. 14 minutes ago, Matt Weaver, a good friend of ours there, posted at Matt Weaver RA with that Hoosier racing tire thing that we showed at the first part of the program. He said in his quote there, it says, a Hoosier representative was recently physically assaulted by an unknown person after a tire test. I figured it was all verbal, to be honest with you.
Jeez.
Damn, that's a little out of control. I mean, and the other importance of Hoosier, Bobby, the dirt tracks need them. I mean, the dirt late models and all this, and hell, not to mention all our factory stock people. I mean, you get Hoosier. We need them. Don't be messing with them. Don't be talking shit about them, and don't be assaulting them. There's no need for that. World Classic at Cordele yesterday. Michael Hine gets him a crown jewel. Good for that dude. That's a really, really good dude. He wins over Johnny Sauter, Connor O'Kresick, Stephen Nassie, and Seth Christensen. And I think that is it. Man.
Yeah, keep a lookout on Adam Stern's Twitter page or X page. Because he should be. I'm surprised it's not posted yet. I was trying to see how well NASCAR did against Formula One in Mexico, because there was a lot of crossover time for those 2 races yesterday. So I'd be interested to see how that went over, especially since Formula One was not. It was dominated by Ferrari, but yet that wasn't the overlying story of that race. It was Verstappen stepping on it and getting into it with Lando Norris. So that was the overlying with the 10-second penalty. So that I'm interested to see how that's going to all shake out.
Mexico race was racy at times. It looked pretty good. And oh, by the way, for Coda, I mean, I think what race was that? NASCAR beat them by 1 million in viewership, and that's 2 o'clock Central on NBC. Oh no, on ABC.
Yeah, head to head, both on network TV.
So there you go. I mean, it's still NASCAR's world, and they really do drive everything. And you know, I think this championship, I would only suspect that with everything that we've seen this year, that championship race in Phoenix, have you seen people already calling, let's move it to Homestead. Let's move it back to Homestead again because of that race yesterday.
Homestead, Vegas, and Miami, or Homestead, Vegas, and Phoenix is where they want the last 3 races to rotate.
Mm-hmm. Do you see that there was where was it? Either Vegas or Miami for Formula One, that there's a little bit in Vegas, I think, talk of moving the Formula One race from that street course over to somehow encapsulate it into Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
I don't think they'd leave the strip though. I don't see them leaving the glitz and glamour of the strip and the spear.
I think what they figured out with that is it was a grand idea, but a bitch to pull off.
That's right. Especially with the people of Las Vegas hated it because they kept having to repave everything.
Yeah. I mean, it
6 months before the race starts, you got everything closed off for paving and building suites and all that shit.
It stops everything that generates that city. And that will continue. I mean, it's going to continue. You know, I posted on Facebook the other day when I was going to Corpus. I was out on 130 and I'm driving and I'm sitting in 1 lane traffic because they're repaving it yet again. It's not obviously very big difference here, but those streets are not built for that high speed stuff that they're doing right there, as to where the tollway was built in a very cheap fashion to get dollars rolling in to taxpayers, but from taxpayers. But that's a different show that we can have that conversation. They're always working on that damn thing.
Well, that's because it wasn't their design. It wasn't designed to stay long. It was designed to line pockets.
I, for the life of me, cannot figure out how they have. There are still construction projects that were under construction at the time before when the tollway was started. That tollway got done fast, man. That son of a bitch went, I mean, boom, and it was there.
And then miraculously, 6 months later, there's a Formula One announcement right there off of Toll Road.
Oh, man. Funny how all of that
politics.
Funny how all of that works. You guys all don't forget to go out and vote. That's oh yeah, we'll have a show before that.
We'll be Monday. We're Monday. The college football playoff is Tuesday. And then the playoff rankings is Tuesday, and then Tuesday night is when we find out the next president of the United States.
Oof, yikes. I will tell you guys one thing. Jeff Howe, that follows the show that follows Wags and I on Texas Sports Unfiltered, he always makes it a point where, I mean, obviously I know the president thing is the one that's going to get all the attention, but when you go out and vote, do some good research on your local and county elections and bonds and all that, because that's really the stuff where, I mean, because that's going to impact us here, like at home, local stuff. So do some research on that. If you've got school board stuff, we got some major school board, Round Rock ISD stuff on the ballot in Round Rock, and it takes a lot of research because
they got a lot of school bonds up there to pay for a lot of projects,
including a lot of it stadium stuff, and it's got people in an uproar about that. It's like, why should we spend, talking about like Kelly Reeves? It's like, why does that place need renovating? That place is old now. I mean, when you isn't that weird to think about when you think of these super stadiums? That was like one of the first ones, man.
One of the first ones locally, yeah,
it's crazy.
Like Burger's still there in Austin forever. You talk about an old ass ancient place. That Burger Stadium's right there with it.
And that's the bad thing about it when it comes to like Burger and House Park in Austin, to where Austin ISD just has no. I mean, they have no money, they have no resources, they have no participation, which reflects all of that. And it's like folks hear Austin and they're really surprised when I talk to some high school football folks connections. And it's like, what are the best school in Austin ISD is an inner city school in East Austin. And they're like, what? When it comes to Austin, to real Austin, let's take Lake Travis and all them out of there. But I'm like, yeah, it's a school on the east side of Austin that's not the most enticing place to live. That's your best. That has 30 players. That's your best team.
Yeah.
Jeez, what a mess. What a mess. Fun show. Good conversations. Monty, Zach, a little nasty, and of course Ray. You guys get out to the DTK this weekend and enjoy that action.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hell, I may try to go because our UTSA game kicks at 11 against Memphis. So hopefully I won't be able to kick anything. I told you about that where I got pissed off and kicked the couch, damn near broke my foot.
Oh shit. You like me in that great video that they send me of the Mexican guy punching the TV all the time when the Cowboys lose?
The wife was happy that I didn't have anything to throw at the TV.
Yeah.
They blew a 35-7 lead at halftime and lost 46-45 with a touchdown with 45 seconds to go in the game. I was not a happy camper. My foot's still bruised and purple, but luckily it didn't break it.
I posted the video last night of that dude hitting his TV after the thing, and I said, this will be me later on. And I get a text from Tom McKay, Audio Visual Consultations, about like 4 minutes later, and he's like, you do that shit, don't be calling me to replace it. I'm like, I'll find another one. I'll find a computer. I'll find a computer.
I need to get Tom to come down here.
Need to go get him to take a look around there. Get him to take a look around there.
Yeah, I need him to come down here.
78 avconsultations.com. There was something else I was going to say. I'm actually this weekend. I've being that there's not, I don't have any Texas football obligations with a much needed bye week, no racing that I'm finishing up or anything like that. Heading back down to Stephenville. It's Military Appreciation Night for Tarleton. So going to go take in the contest there of the number 8 ranked Tarleton State Texans. And those guys are doing really good.
Yeah, they're on. I watched part of their game on ESPN Plus the other day.
Yeah, they're doing really good. They got a good program down there. So that'll be my plans. Get back here on Sunday at some point and I guess watch some NASCAR racing and so forth and so on. All right, you all, thank you for being a part of us and hanging with us late. Ooh, man, I didn't realize what time it was. See, still lots of people tuned in. This is going to turn into a 3-hour show at some point.
At some point, it's going to have to.
I know, right? Once again, back in the Monday time slot, that will be the plan as always, and unless there are some circumstances, but like reviewing numbers, whether it's Thursday, whatever, those seem to work out well as well. So anyway, thank you all for doing this with us. We'll do it again next Monday. Bobby Chaffee is down south. I am Rodney Rodriguez. I am in the northern part of this Austin area, and we do it every Monday at 6:30 p.m. Central. This is #Real Race Talk. It is the Revved Up Sports Show. You all have a great week. Enjoy your racing. Find a racetrack near you or a streamer, and we'll see you next Monday.
Hi, this is Tom McKay with Audio Visual Consultations. Today's home electronics can be a bit daunting. My company has spent the last 36 years making sure they are not. For those of you who have not experienced our services yet, we'd like to invite you to give us a try for all your home electronics needs. We carry all the major brands of televisions and stereo equipment at prices you can't find in stores. And we come to you. There's no need to leave your home to find great pricing and incomparable service. No traffic and experienced sales geeks or pushy showroom tactics. We believe in having some fun and dreaming big. Do you have a dream for your home entertainment? Let us know. We can make it come true. And we are always there to help after the job is done. We cultivate clients for a lifetime by treating everyone like their family. No, not those family members. I'm talking about the ones you actually like. So relax, hug your kids, make love to your wife, and smile. Then, when you have a moment, give us a call at 255-8678. That's 512-255-8678. Or online at avconsultations.com.